First things first, no, that is not clickbait. Yes, I really do have an 800-day streak and counting. Secondly, it's a real streak, not a cheat streak. With Duolingo Plus, you're allowed to repair a streak up to a month after you've lost it. Sorry, that's not a streak. If you've repaired a streak and you're still counting yourself as being on a streak, you shouldn't be. Okay, in all seriousness, I've not paid for Duolingo Plus ever. I just don't think it's worth it considering what you get, and moreover, considering what you get from another program if you paid for that. That's a conversation for another day. I'm here to talk about what results I've had from using Duolingo every day for over 800 days. That's a little over 2 years. And how that's gone for me. Initially, I did about 100 points a day, and it took me 9 months exactly to finish my Swedish tree. After 2 years, can I speak Swedish? Yes, pretty well. Do I attribute that entirely to Duolingo? No, not by a long shot. Would I therefore say that Duolingo is a waste of time? No, absolutely not. Saying that using Duolingo cannot take you to fluency and is therefore useless would be like saying that learning to count cannot get you into university level maths and is therefore useless. It doesn't make any sense. Duolingo is like learning to count, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And doing it every day just gives you the best chance of forming a new habit. That is what the streak is about. It's actually not about making sure that your brain is exposed to some Spanish every day, although that does help. It's about saying, hey, Spanish learning is part of your life now. If you're able to change the image that you have of yourself into, say, someone who speaks Spanish, then you'll most likely become successful in learning Spanish. Because once you realize that Duolingo doesn't have the tools you need to become completely fluent in Spanish, you'll seek out things that do, because in your head, you're a Spanish speaker. Now, this video is not about other methodology when learning languages. This video is about the best methodology to use when you're using Duolingo. So let's talk about that. I'd like to address a few things. I completely disagree with the people who say that the weird sentences on Duolingo, like, you have a nice duck, tu as un joli canard, and it is probably my elephant, and there's one in Swedish that's, why is a Norwegian architect lying in my bed? People think these things are useless, but the idea isn't to teach you how to say a bunch of prefabricated things. The idea is to teach you little bricks of language, like you have and are nice. It doesn't matter what noun comes afterwards. So, with that in mind, you can use this to your advantage. When you come across a sentence, especially one that's more complicated or structured differently to your current experience, don't just continue with the lesson. Stop and imagine yourself in a setting that you could use that sentence. Sit and imagine the scenario and then say the sentence out loud. This actually helps your brain to place things. Think about how you've done this in your own language. If you bump into someone in the street, what are the words that come to mind? It's like sorry or excuse me, and you don't even have to think about the act of speaking. You've probably said it before you've even thought to speak. That's how closely your brain couples the words sorry or excuse me with that situation. Your brain couples words and phrases with situations. That's how it works. So that's what you're trying to do when you're imagining these scenarios and imagining what you would say to go with them. After you've come up with a scenario for which you can use this language, can you change the sentence a bit? If it's a very, very weird sentence, can you change it to be something more likely and imagine a scenario for that? For example, the why is a Norwegian architect lying in my bed thing. It doesn't need to be a Norwegian architect. It could be the dog. Say the dog's not allowed on your bed. You come in, the dog's on your bed. You go, vad fan, varför ligger hunden i sängen? My second tip is be willing and ready to move beyond Duolingo. Start listening to podcasts, start reading books, have conversations and lessons with native speakers. Do those things, absolutely. But don't then give up on Duolingo because you think you've moved beyond that. As I said before, I can speak Swedish pretty well. I can read novels. They take a while, but I can read them. I can have very fluent conversations with native speakers, all the rest of it. But Duolingo still teaches me things that I didn't know how to say, especially now with the Crown update. I know people hated it at first. I also hated it at first. It was really annoying in a bunch of ways. But now it gives me sentences that are very, very complex, that I've not come across those constructions before. And when it does, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I've been wanting to know how to say that exact thing, that very complicated grammatical structure, and now I can. What I want you to get out of this is that if you're trying to learn something, what you use to learn does matter, but it doesn't matter as much as the image you have of yourself as a learner of that thing and as a future expert of that thing. How do I know this? Well, I've been learning Swedish for a little over 2 years, and after about a year, honestly, it dropped off for me. Like, I didn't really care that much. I started learning French, I started doing other things, and like, those things are fine. But I really should have been working on my Swedish. How did I get to become inspired to learn Swedish again and take it to that next level? Well, it was actually hanging out with some language learning friends that I've met. They've come to see me as the resident Swedish expert. Now, I'm not an expert, but as far as they're concerned, I am, right? That image they have of me as like the Swedish guy, even though I'm not Swedish, that has helped me to go, yeah, I want to get really good at this. I want to be the expert in Swedish. So, like I say, the image you have of yourself and the image other people have of you as an expert in something, or at least as a learner of something, can really help you to feel motivated. So if you're learning a language, tell your friends, seriously, tell your friends and keep them updated on it. Eventually they will start asking you, how do you say this? How do you say this, right? It helps. Guys, I hope you found this helpful. I like to talk about all things foreign language related. That includes reviewing books, movies, TV series, mostly foreign ones, but sometimes English ones as well. Please subscribe and comment. It really helps me to feel encouraged to make more of these. I've got another video coming out soon regarding a method I've found for taking language learning to the next level, like taking from like B2 to C1 level. I'm really excited about doing it for myself, and I'm also excited about sharing it with you guys. So please subscribe so that you see that in your feed. And yeah, wherever you are and whatever language you're learning, I really hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. In becoming someone who can speak Spanish, because why? I'm going to do this one more time because first time I said cheaper price, and that's not a real phrase, and the second time I just stuffed it up completely. Say to go with them. Didn't breathe that whole time.